Okay, we're into part 3 of chapter 13. We start talking about occupations. Now, one of the things that's going to pop up right away when we get to this section is primary labor market, secondary labor market. Remember, we had primary, secondary, and tertiary areas of production. This is different. Your primary labor market is hopefully the labor market that we're going to get to experience when we get our degree and we get out into the workforce. These are our high-paid jobs with benefits. Then there's the secondary labor market that has lower-paying jobs, Taco Bell jobs without benefits. And unfortunately, the change in the economy has led to the growth of other kinds of jobs, which we call part of our gig economy, where you have people that should be able to get primary labor market jobs, but because of the deprofessionalization that's been going on, people are now having to, teachers have to drive Uber on the weekends to make ends meet and that kind of thing. There's also the underground economy or informal economy, sometimes referred to as the black market. We talk about unemployment. Very important right now as we're getting slammed with the COVID right now, as the unemployment rate is going up through the roof. But I want you to know that your professor disagrees with the book. Book says percentage of unemployed people in the labor market actively seeking jobs. Actually, those are the people that are applying and are actively going for benefits. They do a survey, and then they take that survey and they also put it together with those that have applied for unemployment, and we get a composite of the unemployment rate. So that's why often when they say things like, oh, the unemployment rate is 6%, but we really believe it's closer to 8% because we know that there's weakness in those numbers. Now, I want you to think about unemployment and underemployment and how we're basically trained to think about things in the way that, quite honestly, the upper class wants you to think about work and business and the economy. So, for instance, you probably heard the thing, oh, well, the media, oh, they're all liberal. Well, actually, the media are arms of big corporations like ABC, Disney, and NBC is owned by, I believe it's General Electric, one of the largest defense contractors. These aren't liberal things. These are businesses. And their job is to sell eyeballs to advertisers. There's no real liberal about it. They'll say, oh, well, so-and-so reporter's liberal. They make the news liberal. It's hard to really actually embrace. You have an interest group that operates a media conglomerate the same way that Fox News operates theirs to sell conservative eyeballs to conservative advertisers who want to sell those people products. But another way that we think about, that whole economy is we hear again, the newspapers, the TVs are all liberal. Really? Think about your newspaper. Does it have a business section? Every day, right? Where's the labor union section? When the newspapers often talk about things like unemployment, often they'll talk about, the issues of price increases because of wage increases. And they say it like it's a bad thing, when in fact, actually, wage increases means money from you and I. Why are we being trained to think about it in another way? Here's another one. The Dow Jones, right? All heard of the Dow Jones. Chances are most of us have no idea what it really means. The Dow Jones is a conglomerate of 30 industrial stocks that are reformulated every year to be a bellwether of that area of the economy. But if I don't have those stocks or I don't work for those companies, chances are that has very little to do with my reality. Why don't we instead have the Dow Jones average? What would be part of the Dow Jones average? Instead of U.S. Steel and Coca-Cola and General Motors, it would have things like the cost of rent, the cost of gasoline, the cost of eggs, the minimum wage. Putting those into a formula would probably actually have a lot more to do with your life and my life than the Dow Jones. Yet the Dow Jones is reported local, national news every single day as if it is the economy. And that should be one of those things that we should pause and go, am I being perhaps tricked to think about the economy in a way that benefits people that aren't really me? Also, section on labor unions, go ahead and make sure that you're keeping track of the fact that in the South here, we're trained to think that labor unions are bad things, but chances are you like the idea of having Saturday and Sunday off. Thank a labor union. You probably like the idea of benefits. Thank a labor union. The idea of overtime. Thank a labor union. Then perhaps you didn't have a job when you were 6, 7, and 8 or 9. Child labor. Thank a labor union. We've forgotten that. Now other people have said, oh, well, that time has passed and they're no longer really relevant today. And I don't know if that's really true. I see the 1% owning more and more of our economy. Maybe there is something to it. Also, make sure you pay attention to the employment of people with disabilities, as that section of the economy is, again, part of that economy that we know little about, and we don't really understand the, problems that those folks face. So make sure you read that section. All right, so this was short, and good luck on our upcoming test.